afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd episode of second season of Coffee with Ashish. And today we've got a very special guest all the way from lovely South Africa, Neliswa Nkani, who's the hub head MEISCA for South African tourism. We are very privileged to have her with us. She's a distinguished personality. She is currently at the helm of affairs, spearheading the initiatives of National Tourism Board for South Africa in Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia. She's a South African national and she comes with holistic tourism experience that includes marketing, strategic government relationships, negotiation, sales, and investment facilitation. She also exudes passion, drive, and commitment and a never ending quest for learning. She is an industry veteran with more than 2 decades of experience in global tourism and hospitality arena, with over 3 years of dedicated experience with South African tourism. She also has in-depth expertise of national government and local government positioning, as well as familiarity with legislation, strategies, and policies pertaining to travel and tourism sectors. Her exhaustive knowledge of South African's country's beautiful landscape, coupled with befitting destination packaging, resulted in Dutch arrivals to South Africa exceeding targets for 3 consecutive years in 2000s. She is fluently conversant in more than 7 languages, and prior to being country manager, Netherlands for South African tourism, she was also the chief marketing officer for a investment agency focusing on Europe, Middle East, and Africa. She's got an illustrious career over 2 decades, and over the years, she has developed strong network of connects within the travel and tourism sector, particularly in Brazil, Africa, Netherlands, Argentina, USA, Europe, and now the entire MEI and SEA. With this, I would like to request Ashish to welcome our honorable guest, Ms. Neliswa Nkani, on Coffee with Ashish. And we're really happy to have you with us today. So over to you, Ashish, while I sit back and enjoy my coffee as well.
Thank you, Karthik. And welcome, Neliswa. I hope you enjoyed your coffee.
Namaste, I am. It's a perfect day for coffee, and thank you very much for this incredible opportunity. Thank you, and thank you for that incredible introduction. It's short, so it's quite it's only when somebody reads it out to you, you realize what your experience has been. But thank you very much.
Wonderful. And talking about experiences, let's hear from you. What has been your experience on the COVID-19, the impact on travel tourism? Because, I mean, it's not just India or South Africa. You have a huge territory globally, which you've sort of covered in your life and perspective. And obviously you get inputs for all over. So let's just take an overall view of what you see.
Well, we were just having, yesterday I was having a conversation with my COO. She decided to pop in and check up on me because I'm in South Africa. We've been for a year in South Africa. And it's quite ironic that last year this time, I had just completed hosting the top corporate of India. And COVID was a distant Asian topic. You know, we didn't foresee or fathom that it would land on the African continent. And a couple of days later, we get a call to say, by the way, you're going to have to stay a bit longer in South Africa because there's COVID. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be 3 months. We'll be gone. I'll be back in my backyard in Mumbai. I'll be having some okra. I'll be really hitting the road and running around in Beddo Road and by the beachfront, Narima Point. I thought, okay, this can't be that bad. And then we started hearing, wow, this is quite a deadly disease. It comes with your breathing and your chest, and it hits you if you're overweight and all of these things. And then suddenly travel kind of slows down. Interestingly, the gentleman that I was hosting is from India, and he was nonchalant. He was like, you know what, get through this. India, South Africa, we've gone through such worse, but we didn't understand the severity of it. Suddenly we get to April, Easter, there is like literally very little travel. And where we were staying to go home, the hotel said, we're not expecting anybody. And that was an alarming. Suddenly the corridor was empty. People were checking out. And It dawned on us between April, May, June, July, August. The severity started hitting home so badly, because now it was not only about travel. You're dealing with loss of life every week, every day. You're dealing with people who are suddenly cash strapped. The guides don't have money. But because we're such a resilient and a receptive country, we were, because we're also led by a phenomenal executive management, but also a phenomenal minister. We were very agile to say, the first thing we need to do is look after the tourism sector, particularly those small to medium enterprises. So what we then did, because as COVID hit for us in India, we were flighting adverts, right? And India went close before we did. And now when you're running an advertising campaign, you don't foresee timing. You think it's going to be, but then we had to quickly re-engineer, stop all advertising. Minister comes in and says, budgets canceled. Take our money, took our money, invested into our small, medium enterprises, because they were the hardest hit. Because suddenly the guide who's making 1,000 or 5,000 rupees had nowhere to get money, no food. So we budgets about 200 million and segmented it to 50,000 rands and gave it to SMMEs. And then obviously hope comes in to say, it's going to get better. Somebody's going to find a cure. Somebody's going to change. While this metamorphosis and hope is happening, hotels started to close. Airbnb started to close. Airlines stopped flying, right? Which therefore means staff got to laid off. We have thousands of staff who are having to be laid off. Now, COVID, unfortunately, comes at a time in the economy globally when most economies were not doing well. They were just kind of living on the edge. Some economies were in recession, some were just coming out of a recession. The airline sector, severely impacted. I've never been to an airport in my life where there's nobody. Johannesburg and Cape Town International, OR International in Cape Town, there was nobody. Literally nobody. The runway, the skies were so blue suddenly. Suddenly the air was like you could breathe, and the quietness on the road. So it's been quite challenging from economy perspective, lack of travel, loss of life. The loss of life is something that until I close my eyes, I will never forget. And it took us on a roller coaster because we would be going to lockdown 5, 4, 3. Then we thought, fantastic. Then we found ourselves in lockdown 1. Then we found ourselves in lockdown 3. Then we found ourselves in lockdown 1. So the emotional roller coaster for citizens in South Africa and globally, the mental state for people, for businesses, for children, suddenly you had to learn. I'm a mother to a 28-year-old. I had to learn how to be patient. I had to learn how to speak his language. I had to learn, foremost and most important is my health, is my family, is to pause, is to actually reach out and find out all those that in my industry. Okay, do they have food? Do you have electricity? Do you have data? I remember a colleague of mine calling me hysterically about a guide who lost the wife, left a 5-year-old. No food, no plan. Suddenly I had to dig deep and consult, pull in some great people and say, how do we move and bring people to the fore and make sure that we are conscious of those around us? So it's been a challenge, but as I said in the beginning, South Africa, like India, I'm yet to see such resilience, such compassion, such humility, people really stepping out, and a total change and shift in paradigm to say, just because I'm not next to you does not mean I'm not with you. Technology came in. As much as it took away our human touch, but it brought the human element and the soul to the floor technology in a virtual way. I hope that's enough for you to answer. Where are we today? We're in level 1 again. We've had to learn that it's a slow recovery process, and that we need to be conscious of those around us. We need to be conscious of how we deal with this pandemic. We need to realize the world will not be the same. As much as I am the same, but the world will not be the same. The way tourism is going to be will not be the same. And it's allowed us from a tourism perspective to put our ear on the ground.
Right.
Find out, what does Hash need? What does Raj need? What does Mitali need? What does Grace need when they say, I'm traveling? What is their agitation? What are their fears? What are the things that they need so that we can help them and hold their hand to come to our country? We're not out of the woods. The world is not out of the woods, because we need to do some introspection to say, if Ashish was to travel tomorrow, what do you want from South Africa? That's where we are at.
Right, right. So, I have to say you've articulated this very well, because sometime when we pass by the event, although we haven't passed it, but when we pass by the event and you look back with hindsight, it doesn't come in the way which you've articulated. But we've been through a journey. It's been a journey of over 1 year, which has, of course, impacted our lives perhaps forever. But then coming back to the current situation, what are the initiatives South Africa has taken in the global tourism? Then there is the safety protocol. How did you manage to, and the general rules which affect traveling to South Africa, if not today, but at least maybe 6 months from now? And how do you see the pipeline opening up from various countries, not only India? And lastly, of course, if I may add, where are we on the vaccination front? Not that vaccination clears everything, but how are we moving in that direction in South Africa?
Super. So let's start with how did we deal with the protocols? We've got such an agile industry, very proactive industry, very sound industry. Our corporates, private sector, huddled, got together, drafted some of the most incredible protocols. When you go into a hotel now, and you get into the parking lot, gone are the days where you press a button, you wave, and green, the boom comes up. You get into a shopping mall or a hotel, your mask must be on. You go into register, there's a glass. When I'm paying, but before I even land, before I even check in, I've already done my online check-in. I get in, they scan my check-in, my name appears. I now need to do my deposit or my payment. I tap my card. I get into the lift. I tap my card. I'm talking to the woman across. There's a glass screen or a plastic screen. I've got my mask. She's got a mask on. She's spraying the pen if I need to sign. In fact, my signature is done electronically. I send it to her. It's placed on. It's sorted. I go into my room. I don't even have to touch the handle. I tag, right? Now comes the time for breakfast or lunches. Spacing, incredible. My temperature, by the way, is taken and checked. I cannot go into any shopping mall without a mask on. I have the option of, do I want my room serviced every day or every second day? It's dependent, because I'm trying to minimize contact. I now am going to go out and I'm going to play golf. I'm just giving you from an activity. Get onto a golf cart. My golf cart has got a shield that separates me from the driver. Fantastic. I also have the opportunity to check in for golf long before. It's a cashless system. And then obviously in the hotels, we've brought in technology. One of our prime hotels, the Sky, everything is robotic to a degree, but it depends where you are. If I'm going to go into any activity, social distancing, restaurants, social distancing, menus, you have to scan. If I'm going to whatever menu, I scan it, I put it in, I order, it self-regulates, it sends it to the waiter. They're walking around with iPads. Technology has and is core to what the tourism sector is doing. Has it taken away the human element? Absolutely not, because I still have the chef right next to me, the waiter right next to me, the restaurant managers next to me. You're signing in, we are tracking your temperature. You have to sign in if you're at a restaurant, given your details, your pen is sanitized. So there's a lot of technology that's gone into it. And it's become a way of life for South Africans, and it's not unique anywhere else. Airport, same thing. You're coming into South Africa, you're leaving South Africa, have to have a COVID certificate that is at least got a lifespan of 72 hours. It's the norm. It's not just South Africa. Where are we with our rollout? We're very humbled. India was one of the first countries to reach out to South Africa. There's no time more, let me put it another way. I'm more blessed to be in India at this time and be working with India at this time. When that first batch of vaccines arrived, there was nothing more incredible to be able to say to colleagues, that is my India. That is incredible India, with humility, with kindness. And we've started in South Africa with various batches. We started with the front staff in terms of vaccinating, particularly health workers, our education system, our education staff. We will then go into comorbidities. We just got a batch a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, also from Brussels. So we are in the process in the next couple of weeks. And I'm hoping you'll be there, Ashish. Our minister will be coming onto a platform to talk to the India stakeholders to say, where are we with the rollout? Where are we with the second variant? How are we managing COVID? And I think South Africa has been very fortunate. We've got some of the best medical facilities on the African continent. And also South Africans have heeded the call and understood that this is a very, very important time. And that for us, we need to adhere, particularly the elders. So we're rolling it out. I know that the tourism sector is going to be also introducing, or will be in the front line in receiving the vaccine. And we wait. Our president was the first person to actually get the shot, and followed by our Minister of Health. So we are rolling it out. And as any other country, we always say there's never perfection, but it's the imperfection that's going to make us perfect citizens, in making sure that we learn and that we are open to change, because it is going to take a while, but we've started and the rollout is moving. Right. The rollout is moving.
Right. So I'm going to now talk to you about the must-visit tourism destinations in South Africa. I haven't been to Cape Town and Durban, but I've certainly been to Johannesburg. I've been to Sun City, and I have very fond recollections of having made that visit. But I will also check with Karthik, because I think he had a video he wanted to play out, but he'll check that out. Meanwhile, you do tell us about the destinations.
So one of the things COVID has helped us from a marketing perspective, I've never been closer to the industry than I am today. On a weekly basis, we are engaging with the travel industry, travel agents, sales staff, marketing teams, the product teams. And the reason we did this, we thought it's very important that we understand what the Indian consumer wants. But before even COVID, which was a blessing to us, we had the minister in January, and the industry spoke, and we listened. And they said to us, can you give us something new in South Africa? We know your anchor product, Cape Town and Garden Route. And we yielded the call. We said, okay, let's heed the call. What is it that they want? We then started playing with different regions. We brought in KwaZulu-Natal. We brought in Mpumalanga. People think that they know Kruger, because every person from India comes into South Africa, lands in Joburg, goes to the Kruger National Park, and they say, I've done Kruger or Mpumalanga. Everybody goes into Cape Town, they land in Cape Town, they do the Garden Route, they do Table Mountain, get onto a flight, go to the Garden Route, and maybe end in Knysna, and they say they've done South Africa. So we brought in a lot of new players. The tourism boards are on board, new players. People do not know, and I don't think you are aware of this, Ashish. I'm born in Cape Town. My ancestral come from the Eastern Cape. I live and work in Joburg, which is my head office. But I don't think you know that in Durban, you can actually snorkel with the sharks.
Oh.
Nobody. And knowing India from a tourism perspective, Indians are not looking to sunbathe. I think we get enough time in the sun in India. In fact, we run. Indians are not looking for relaxation when they come to South Africa. They are the biggest and largest consumer of adventure. Now, adventure to them is not just bungee jumping on the garden route, it's going through the Oribi Gorge. So we've come in and we've introduced and said adventure will be the core and the center of everything we do. So we've brought in KwaZulu-Natal, which is Durban. We're now playing with Limpopo. We've brought in Mpumalanga, which is Kruger, but we've brought in the activities versus just staying and wanting to be in a lodge. We've brought in Gauteng as well to come in, and Eastern Cape, the unknown, the untouched, the raw, the authentic. And we've brought in the provincial tourism boards together with the new players. And this has been very well received by the Indian tourism industry, because key is what the consumer wants, is newness, affordability, space, the ability to be conscious of how they treat the environment. Sustainable tourism and what I call ethical tourism are the number one factor that is really conspicuous in terms of how am I impacting the earth? And the combination of those that I've mentioned, I think we've mastered it. As we speak, tour operators in India are really contracting as we speak with new products. So when the world opens, South Africa will be a new South Africa. It will not only be known by 2 or 3 provinces or 3 or 4 cities. We've sustained Cape Town, but we're now introducing the West Coast. It's where you can go fishing, catch your prawns, put them on a barbecue spit, and have your lunch within an hour or 2. That's the things that we started to talk about. Snorkeling with the sharks, the Oribi Gorge, going onto Durban and fetching your own bucket and bring your own bucket and catching sardines and taking them home. Making sure that you have access to a bunny chow and you can make your own bunny chow. It's very experiential tourism. It's very bringing life and making sure that you're not a spectator, but you're a participant and you're enjoying it. But the most important thing is the value for proposition, value for money. COVID has taught us that we cannot be complacent in pricing. We cannot expect people, no matter where they are in the world, to pay ridiculous prices. Value must not only be in money, but must be in the experience, must be in the way we communicate and the way we engage with the consumers.
That's a very important aspect, of course, Neliswa, because value for money and the true value of what is going to confront us is an important. Karthik, we have something to see, or we move to?
We have some lovely pictures of
Yes.
the destinations.
I think
my favorite. Oh, look at that. That's my country.
Yeah.
That picture that you've just showed of the canyon, literally, it's not just a picture. I have a picture of myself sitting on the edge. It is to die for. So most people don't know about this. This is in Mpumalanga. They come, they go to the Kruger. Most people don't know that they can actually get onto a boat and experience that canyon. It is magnificent, majestical. And what worried me in the beginning, most people that would be found here are your European clients. And the question was to South Africans, why, to Indian people and to South Africans, why do I not find a bus full of Indians sitting here? Are we not good enough as Indians to be sitting here? Now that there's a take-up, we're going to see a lot more pictures. This is going to be the most Instagrammable picture in India in the next few years. It is in Mpumalanga. It's gorgeous. Drakensberg Mountains, incredible. Unknown, also incredible in KwaZulu-Natal. That's it. That's the Black Canyon. Incredible.
Right. And the food.
Bunny chow I was talking about. That's the bunny chow.
Yeah.
This is close to home. Yeah. Chapman's Peak. Nothing like it.
Yes, it's a great place for driving holidays as well, South Africa.
It is. It is. And we're going to see more drive-throughs, family drive-throughs, because people are conscious who they want to be with.
Yeah.
A lot of self-drives that we're going to be seeing. And this is what makes us amazing, is we're a very interactive. Culture is core to what we do.
Right, right.
Nice. This is in
So,
KwaZulu-Natal. Yep.
yeah. So while we look at this, I mean, what are the challenges ahead of you now, and while we look at recovery going forward, are there any specific challenges?
I
Besides,
think the
yeah.
challenges are similar around the globe. Forgive me for cutting you in. One of the things we need to be conscious of is what is the cost of the airlines going to be to any destination? What is our partnerships with airlines? How do we partner and find a middle ground between airlines and the destination? Because it's all good to invest so much money and it's too expensive to get to a destination. But the destination also needs to understand that no airline operates without bums on seats. So the airline price is very important. I think the agreements, the international agreements are going to be a very important, international relations agreements are going to be important to say, which other countries are open to receiving each other, not just coming to South Africa. You know, how open is India to receive South Africans? How open is South Africa to receiving Indians? So we're going to need to dig deep into those international relations. Marketing budgets, which is one thing that is going to be a challenge. And I think not only for South Africa, but for destinations. One of the saddest things we know is that in India, there was no investment into the tourism market from a stimulus perspective, which left the industry dry. So everything that I do and every thought that I plant in my mind and to my team is be conscious of the industry's departure point, because the budgets of investment can no longer be equated on a one-on-one. How do I add value to the tourism board? And how do I add that value to my tour operators? And most important, how do I assure the traveler through the tour operator and through the platforms that I own that South Africa is ready to receive them? Because the biggest fear is the unknown, and it sits in the mind of the consumer. So we've got to be very clear how we communicate. And key for me, there are two things that I would love to leave India with when I do come back: an e-visa and a direct flight. Because we will overcome this pandemic. This pandemic happened in 1918. The only thing that's different is that nobody left us a manual on how to overcome it.
Right.
And now the question becomes, what is our manual for the generations to come? Because it will come in 100 years. And that's the other challenge that I always say. I said, I wish somebody in tourism in 1919 told us how they got over this. But other than that, the other challenge is the loss of life. Too many people have died. Too many people have died, and they are nameless and they're faceless. And we as a tourism industry has to huddle, pull together. My responsibility as a tourism passionist is to make sure that my Thomas Cooks, my SOTCs, my Flamingos, all of those guys are standing and are sustaining jobs so that more Indians can come to South Africa. That is for me my greatest wish, and that we do not diminish and vanish behind this disease at the expense of greed, ignorance, and or lack of compassion.
Right. So although you've summarized everything, but just to sort of conclude our coffee today, we're into March 2021. What would you really like to see as short-term objectives till December 2021 for the various markets, including India? Key focus areas.
I would like to make sure that by the end of this year, we've launched the e-visa. That's the first one. I would like that my colleagues in my office, one and most important, we are all still together by the end of this year. and that our communication and together with our partners, our agencies who infuse life to us, we've launched a new profound South African tourism campaign that will unseat people and get them to be on our shores. That the Indian traveler, when they think South Africa, they think an alternative new South Africa. The short term, most important as well, that whatever it is we do it together with our tourism partners within India and in South Africa, and we sustain those jobs. And it will be focused on new regions, sustaining the anchor, but we will be focusing on adventure, and we're going to be focusing on niche segments, being women, being mice, being bikers, being sports, because I believe more now, sport is a very important thing from a health perspective, but also not forgetting sustainable tourism. We will be launching our new campaign very soon. The minute we find normality, whatever that it is, we define normality, we will be launching, we are ready. And also we will be playing very hard within the channel in India. And the key and most important thing that we've been asked to do in India is to source where are the millennials and the new consumers, and sort partnerships that are going to elevate our brand in stature as well in association.
Right. Talking about sports, let me here conclude that after the Indian cricket team, South Africa is my second most dearly loved team. It plays well, it plays very clean and very admirable. So I thank you, Neliswa, to be here with me to have coffee. And we wish you all best in your new campaign. I would look forward to seeing it. And Karthik, you have something to conclude while we go forward.
No, it's amazing to have you. I'm still in awe of the pictures, and I was trying to search this place, the Kenya, and it's on my bucket list now. And I'm sure a lot of our audience members are all excited to plan their next trip to South Africa. So thanks so much for being here with us. Thanks, Ashish, as always. Thank you, our audience members, for joining in. And thanks once again, Neliswa, for being with us. Hope you have a great weekend again. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you and welcome you back in India soon. And hope to see you in person.
Thank you, Karthik. And Ashish, to your listeners, may you be blessed. May the Almighty favor you, your families, your businesses, sustain us as two incredible countries, and favor us until the end of time. Thank you very much. Shukriya. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.